Good evening everyone. Welcome to Tech Tutorials 2K21. So myself Devi. I'm from CSE department, working as an assistant professor. So here I'm going to take a 15-day C programming master classes from today onwards. So I'm trying to put the class every day by this time, that is 7:30 p.m. So this 15 days classes, it will help you to refresh your C programming language, as well as if you are a beginner or a fresher to C programming language, now you can able to understand the complete C programming, and I'm sure after completion of these 15 days, you can able to write your own C programming languages. Thank you so much for your participation. So I will start the today's session. So before I am going to take an introduction part of C programming language, so I'll start with why programming languages are required, then what do you mean by a programming language, and what is the purpose of programming language. Then I'll start introduction of C programming language. Now coming to a general scenario, how the languages will make a communication between two people, as like your programming languages also will give the communication between the human and the computer machine. Like the human interact with the computer machine, they want to instruct the computer to do some operations. For that, we need a language, and that language we said it as programming languages. So any programming language is consisting of set of instructions. So that instructions are nothing but the rules. It will instruct your computer what we have to do. And then the humans and the machines we consider. So human cannot talk with the computer. It doesn't communicate with the computer directly. So we need a language, so which will convey our requirements to a computer, and then after processing, we will get the output from the computer device. So here I am going to introduce you the C programming language, and then I'll start with the history of C programming language. Later we'll see the basic structure of C program. Then the basic part of any programming is the variables, and we'll see how to declare a variable and how to initialize the variables, and what are the different tokens available for C programming language. This is the today agenda. So I'll start with history of C programming language. From this we will learn who invented the C programming, and before that what the programming languages are existed. So we'll go through. So the first part is history of C programming language. So in 1972, a great computer scientist, Dennis Rich, has created a new programming language which is called C. At AT&T Bell Laboratories, he invented the C programming language at the first time. So before the C programming language, so the other basic programming languages are existed. Those are ALGOL, BCPL, B language, and these languages will be taken as a basic for this C programming language. And it was created from Algol and BCPL and D programming languages. I already informed you these are the previous languages that has existed before this 1972. And this Dennis Rich is working on these programming languages and they invented this new language C. There is no abbreviation for C language. So after this B and BCPL, they simply name it as C programming language. And C programming language, it contains all the features of this Algol, BCPL and B languages and many more additional concepts that makes it unique from other programming languages to C programming. And C is a powerful language which is strongly associated with the Unix operating system, that is a command-oriented operating system. And even most of the Unix operating systems are coded in C language. And firstly, the C language was used to develop this Unix operating system. And initially, C programming was limited to this Unix operating system. But as it started, it's spreading around this world. It became commercial and many compilers were released for cross-platform systems. So today, C runs under a variety of operating systems and a variety of hardware platforms. We know different programming languages was rapidly introduced in nowadays. Still, C programming is having its own importance, and this is known as the basic programming languages for all the languages. And every engineering student, they're going to learn the C programming language as a basic programming language in their first years. So it was invented in 1972. Now it is of 2022. It's almost 50 years completed. Still, C programming language is having its own importance because of its features. So we'll see what are the different features of a C programming language. It makes the C programming language as a unique programming language in the world. So the features of C programming. So the first feature is C is a simple and an efficient language. So it follows a structured language. So to solve any problems, and it provides a rich collection of library functions, data types, operators and etc. We can use it very simple and we can write our programs in an efficient manner. And C language is a portable language, means of that we can implement your C language for one platform. That is, for example, if you are going to write your C language for your Windows operating system, now you can run the same program in any other operating systems like Unix, Linux, Android. So all these different operating systems, without a platform dependent, we can make a small changes or without making any changes. Because of this, we can say C is a portable language. And the third feature is a structured programming language. And we can observe that C programming is a structured programming language. It supports functions. By using these functions, we can divide the code into a smaller parts. So we can return a C language very easy and we can understand, and modifying is also very easy. And using of these functions in C language, it also offers code reusability. For example, without having this modularity or the structured programming, without having the functions, you can implement your application in a single program. It is difficult to debug and it is difficulty to identify the errors and rectifying it. And whenever we want to extending the code, and it is also difficult without having this feature. And the next feature is C is having a rich set of libraries. So a C programming language, it supports various inbuilt functions and libraries that makes the developers to develop their applications fastly. And we can also create our own functions and add it to the C library too. So this is also possible. And your C is a syntax based language. So in order to make a single line of code in your C language, we need to follow the syntax. And a part of this, your C is a case sensitive language. So it will be differentiated the uppercase letters with the lowercase and the combination of upper and lowercase letters. So because of all these features of your C language, will make the C language as a unique programming language. And now we'll see the basic structure of C. So this is the basic structure of C programming language, and this structure will say what we need to write or in what order we are going to implement the C program. Before going to write a simple C programs in C language, we have to know and we have to understand this complete structure. So C basic structure will consisting of 6 parts. The first one is a documentation section, and second one is a link section, and the third one is a definition section, and fourth one is global variable declaration or a function declaration section, and fifth one is a main function, and the last section is a subprogram section. And you can observe here we have a titles like suggested, essential, optional, right? So this titles implies that this documentation section is suggested section for you. If you write the documentation section in your program, it will help you later. And coming to the essentials, whatever the parts of this basic structure is an essential, you have to include that part compulsory in your C programming language. Whereas an optional, depends on our requirement, we can include this definition section, global declaration section, and subprogramming section. So we'll start explanation of each and every section, what it consisting, and how you are going to include in C programming language. We'll start with the documentation section. So the documentation section is consisting of a set of comment lines, which includes the name of the programmer, author, and the details like time and date of writing the program. And we can also include the description of each and every line of your code. And this documentation section helps anyone to get an overview of the program. When the programmer is developed a particular program and they are interested to write the comments on that code, later any of the user trying to use the same program, they can understand easily by the comments. In C programming language, it supports two different types of comments. The first one is single line comment and the second one is multiple line comments. As the name says, single line comments are used to write comments in a one line, whereas the multiple line comments are used to write the comments in more than one line. In order to differentiate the comments from the programming code as well as the differentiation of single and multiple line comments, we are using some special symbols. So single line comments are used to write the comments in one line, and these comments are starts with backslash, that is of two backslash symbols you have to use, and that single line comment it must end with semicolon. If you forgot to give us a dot or a period, so example of single line comment is like this. Like you can write the single line comments by using two backslash symbols, and this is a simple example for single line comment. Whereas multiple line comments are used to write the comments in more than one line, and these comments can start with backslash with asterisk symbol and ends with asterisk and backslash. So here is an example for multiple line comments. When we are using a multiple line comments, we must include the end termination. Otherwise, your C compiler will treat everything as a multiple line comment. And the second section of basic structure of C is link section. So the link section will provide an instructions to the compiler to link the header files or functions from the system library. We can include the header files in link section by simply using #include preprocessor. So we have different header files available in C language, that is stdio.h, conio.h, mat.h, string.h. So there are different header files are included in C library. Depends on our requirement, we have to include the header files in C programming language. And the third section is definition section. So this section is used to define different constants in C programming language. So constants are a name given to a memory locations and whose values cannot change during the execution of the program. Whenever in our programming language, when we need a constant, then we are using this definition section. For defining a constants, we can use #define preprocessor like this. So here I am declaring one constant variable, that is pi, and I am assigning with a value, that is 3.14. Next section is a global declaration section. In this global declaration section, we can include the variables which we are going to use. throughout the program. And here in this part, we can include the functions which we are used in our C programming language. So we can declare the functions, that is the user defined functions, in this section. So the variables declared before the main function and that can be used throughout the program is said to be global variables. And we can declare the functions like this. We can provide the return type and the function name, and here it is a parameter list, that is an arguments list we are going to pass. And this is a global variable declaration, and like a normal variable declaration we can declare global variables also. But here only the difference is these variables can declare before the main function. And the next section is the main function section. It is necessary your C programming language is having one main function, at least one main function. So we cannot write more than one main function. This section will contain two parts. One is a declaration and second one is an executable part. So the declaration section will consisting all the variables that are used in your executable part. So by this declaration of variables, your C compiler can understand what are the different variables it is going to use in future. And the executable part will consisting of the operations which we are going to performing on the data, and we can include these two parts in between open and close brace. And remember, each statement in a declaration and executable part, it must ends with semicolon. And the last part of the basic structure is subprogramming section. So this section will consisting all the user defined functions that are used to perform a specific task. These user defined functions are called in the main function because the C compiler, it doesn't recognize the user defined functions directly. So user can implement any number of subfunctions, depends on the requirement. So the next topic is variables. A variable is a name given to a memory location. It is used to store the data and its values can be changed during the execution of the program. Whenever we declare variables in C programming language, the compiler can understand what type of variables it can use in later and how much memory it is going to be reserved for that particular variable. So we have some rules for defining a variables in C programming language. Those are, a variable can have alphabets, digits and underscore. If you want to define any variable in C programming language, it consisting of the combination of alphabets, digits. If we want to use any symbol, we are going to use an underscore symbol. And the second rule is, a variable name, it can start with an alphabet or else you can start with an underscore only. And most rarely, we always start a variable name with alphabet is a good usage. And it cannot start with digits. So we cannot start a variable name with numbers. We always start a variable name either with a alphabet or underscore symbol. So no white space is allowed within a variable name. Suppose if I want to give my variable name as first name, I don't need to give a gap between first and name. So I can simply combinedly write first name. If I want to separate it, I can use an underscore symbol instead of white space. And variable name, it must not be any reserved words or the keywords. So keywords are the reserved words available in any programming language which are used for a specific purpose. So we cannot use those reserved words or the keywords as a name of variable. So these are the rules we must follow for giving a name to variables. And the next thing is how to declare variables in C programming language. In C programming language, before we are going to use anything in an executable part, we must declare in a declaration part first. Declaring the variable is nothing but will inform to the compiler these are the variables which can hold some data temporarily to do the manipulations in future. So this is the syntax for variable declaration. Simply we can use data type and variable name semicolon. So this is the syntax for declaring a single variable. Suppose we want to declare a variable of similar type and we want to declare multiple variables, then we can use the extension of this syntax data type variables 1, comma, variable 2, comma, variable 3, comma, variable 4 and so on variable n. By this syntax, we can declare any number of variables of same data type in a single line in C programming language. Here, the data type it may be integer, character, floating point or double. The examples of variable declaration is int a, char name, char gender, float salary. So you can take any of these. Those are examples of declaring a variables. This is an example for declaring a multiple variables. Now you can see here we can declare more than one variable in a same line of type float. So simply we can write float a comma b and you must end with semicolon. So this is a way how you can declare variables in C programming language. And now we'll see how to initialize variables. After declaration of a variable, we must initialize the variables with some values. So initialization of variable concept is used to give a value for a variable which is declared in your declaration section. So variables can be initialized in two ways in C programming language. The first one is a compile time initialization. In this compile time initialization, we can initialize or we can give the values to your variables at the programming itself. Means, when you write a program in C programming language, itself we are assigning some values to the variables. And the syntax for initializing the variables at compile time is data type variable name is equals to value. Here this data type it may be of integer, floating point, character, double, whatever it will be. And variable name is a user equals to is an assignment operator, and here on right hand side we can assign some value. Suppose for example, if I want to initialize one integer variable, I can write simply int a is equals to 10. If I want to declare multiple variables of same type, I can declare like int a comma b. At the time of declaring itself, I can initialize values int a equals to 5 comma b is equals to 10 semicolon. And the second type of initialization is runtime initialization. And the runtime initialization allows the user to assign values to your variables at the time of executing the program. So when we execute the program, at that time we want to initialize the values to our variables, we can go with the second type of initialization. In these two types of initialization, when we are going to use these two means, suppose in your program you want to work with a fixed data, like whatever the data you are assigned to your variables, and those variables can be used in your program irrespective of how many times you are going to run. If you want to change the variable's name every time when we want to execute your program, you go with the second type of initialization variable, that is runtime initialization. In C programming language, the runtime initialization can be achieved by using the scanf function, which is available in stdio.h header file. So this scanf function is used to read the values from the keyboard in C programming language. Syntax for using the scanf function is scanf. It will consisting of two parts. One is format specifier. By this format specifier, the compiler will know what type of data it is going to take from the keyboard. And we have different format specifiers like %d, %c, %f, %s, %ld, and these are different format specifiers which is used to take integers, characters, string, double, float values from the keyboard. And for example, if I want to take an integer value from the keyboard, I can use %d as my format specifier. Depends on the number of inputs we are taking from the keyboard, we can give that many format specifiers in the first section. And second section will consisting the list of variables along with an ampersand symbol which specifies the address of the variables. Example, suppose here in this example I am trying to read two integer values. Because of that I am using %d and %d. In second part, my variables a and b are taken along with address, that is an ampersand symbol. This is a way how we have to initialize the variables in C programming language. And the next concept is C tokens. So token is nothing but a smallest individual part of C programming language. We can simply say a small piece of your C programming. For example, we'll go with the declaration part. Suppose if I declare a variable int a comma b. So at that line it specifies multiple tokens The first one is data type, and the second one is identifier, and third one is a special symbol called comma, which will separate two variables, and B is again an identifier of type variable, and semicolon is a special symbol which is used for termination of line. So a token is the smallest element of C programming that is meaningful to the compiler, and tokens can be classified into keywords, identifiers, constants, strings, special symbols, and operators. So these are different types of tokens available in C programming language. So we'll start with an identifiers in C programming language. Identifiers are nothing but these are used for naming the variables, functions, arrays, structures, etc. And identifiers in C programming language are the user-defined words. It can be composed of uppercase letters, lowercase letters, underscore or digits, but it always starts with letter, or it should be either an underscore symbol. So identifiers, it cannot be a keywords or the reserved words. So what are the rules we are following for declaring of variables? We must follow the same rules for an identifiers also. The difference between variable and identifier is variable is one of the identifier, whereas the identifiers are the name given to any concept used in C programming language. Suppose if I am using a function in C programming language, if I am given my function name as area, so now area is an identifier which tells the compiler that is of type function. And the next token is keywords. In C programming language or any programming languages, keywords are the reserved words which can be used for a specific purpose in programming languages. In C programming language, we have totally 32 keywords are available and named in an alphabetical order like this: auto, break, case, character, constant, continue, default, do, double, else, enum, extern, float, for, goto, if statement, integer, long, register, return, short, signed, size of, static, struct, switch, typedef, union, unsigned, void, volatile, and byte. So these are the 32 keywords available in C programming language, and each and every keyword used for a specific purpose. So I can categorize all these keywords in multiple categories. Let's observe this. So in C programming language, we are using a multiple concepts. For giving the functionality of your C, we can use the control structures, which will control the flow of execution of your C programming. For implementing the control structures, we can use the keywords like if, else, switch, case, default, break, and iterative statements like do, while, for. So these are the keywords listed from this 32 which is going to be used for implementing the control structures and iterative statements. Whereas to describe the data types in C programming language, we can use the keywords like integer, like int, float, double, char, and these data is they can use with a combination of long, short, signed, unsigned. Like we can use short integer, long integer, unsigned short integer. Like you can use like combinations. So these keywords are used for defining the data types in C programming language. In C programming language, we have a concept of storage classes, which will give you the span or a lifetime of a variable. For that, we can use auto, static, register, and then auto, static, register, and extern. So these are 4 storage classes supported by your C programming language. For implementing, we have to use these 4 keywords. And then we can use void for return type, and we can use struct and union for creating a structure and unions in C programming language, and we can use enum typedef for defining a user defined data types. So size of is a special variable which is used to find a size of a particular data type or a variable or a structure. So for these purposes, we can use these keywords in C programming language. And I forgotten this constant, const is a keyword which is going to use a constant or define a constant in C programming language. And next thing is operators. So we can simply say operator is a special symbol which is used to perform a specific operations in C programming language. So simply we can take a definition of an operator is a symbol that tells the compiler to perform a specific mathematical or logical operators. So in C we have different types of operators. So I just listed here and I'll give you just brief about this. We'll discuss about this operators concept later in tomorrow's session. So the first type of operators are the arithmetic operators, which is used to perform the basic arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division and modulus. So we can use plus, minus, asterisk symbol, divide and modulus symbol for performing these operations. And the second type of operator is the relational operators. And these relational operators is used for comparing two quantities. And it will give you the relation between two operands. Simply, the relational operators are less than, greater than, less than or equal, greater equal, equal, not equal. And the third type of operators are the logical operators, which is used to perform the logical operations in any programming language. So the basic logical operators are logical AND, logical OR and NOT. And the symbols used for logical AND is double ampersand symbols, logical OR is double pipe symbols, and logical NOT is exclamatory symbol. And the logical operators are designed with the logical gates. It can use of logical AND gate, OR gate and NOT gate. So logical AND gate will take two inputs and it produces a single output. So it tells that if both conditions are given in your control statement and that both conditions are true, and it will return your result is also true. And the logical OR operator will works if any one of the condition given is true, then the result is true. And the logical NOT operator, which is used for a complement operation, If you give your input as true, it return as false. If you give your input as false, it return as true. And next operators are the bitwise operators. And the bitwise operators are used to perform the operations at bit level in C programming language. So those are bitwise AND, bitwise OR, and bitwise exclusive OR, shift left, shift right. And these operators are used to perform the operations at bit level. And the next operators are the assignment operator, which is used to assign the right hand side of a value to the left hand side of the variable. So is equals to is an assignment operator which will do this operation. And these assignment operators are used in a shortcut notations in C programming languages. And the next operator is a conditional operator. The combination of question mark with colon is said to be a conditional operator which will work similar to if-else control statement. And the next operator is increment or decrement operators. The symbols used as plus plus, minus minus for increment and decrement operations respectively. And this increment operator used to add 1 to the variable, and the decrement operator are used to subtract 1 from the variable. And the last operators are the special operators, and these operators are used to perform a special operations in C programming language. For example, I can use the pair of square brackets, which is used for declaring of arrays. I can use the combination of flower brackets. I can use this symbol for initializing array elements or for the function definitions. Semicolon is a special operator which is used for line termination. Asterisk is a special operator which is used for multiplication or a pointer variable. So size of is also a special operator which is used to know the size of a variable or any data type. So these are in brief about an operators. So I will discuss about these operators in an explanation way in tomorrow's class. So the next concept is constants in C programming language. So a constant is a value or a variable that cannot be changed in the program execution. So this is the difference between a normal variable and a constant variable. So when you say something as constant and those values are never changed during the execution of your C programming language. And we can declare constants in C programming in two ways. Simply by using a constant keyword like const, and the second way by using hash defined preprocessor. So the constant keyword is used to define constant in C programming language, and here is the syntax. We can use const, so we can write in small letters because the keyword is always written in small letters, and we can specify the data type, and we can provide the constant name, and must we have to use an equal symbol and assign some value to constant. So here is a simple example. If you want to declare a constant, simply you can use a keyword const and float is a data type here, and my constant name is pi here, pi, and I am assigning the value as 3.14 for this constant variable. In second way, if I want to declare a constant in C programming language, simply I can use hash defined preprocessor. So the hash defined is a preprocessor which is allow you to create the constants before the main function. So we can use the hash defined preprocessor like this. We can give hash define, and here is my constant name, and here I can give a value. So we cannot provide equal symbol and we cannot provide semicolon when we declare a constant by using hash define preprocessor. Now we'll see what are the different types of constants available in C programming language. So types of constants: numerical constants, which is used to define the number constants. Again, these can be categorized as two ways, like integer constant and floating point constant. Whereas an integer constants, again we can take in three ways, like octal constants, decimal constants, and hexadecimal constants. So octal constant is nothing but, so I can take a numerical constant. I can use the numbers from 0 to 7 to form any number. For example, if I want to declare a octal constant, I can give like this 2, 3, 7, and I need to specify O there. So O indicates the given number is not a decimal or not a hexadecimal, it is an octal. For decimal numbers, we simply provided the numbers and we can use the numbers from 0 to 9 for making decimal constants, because decimal is nothing but 10. So we can use the numbers from 0 to 9 and we can frame any integer constant in C programming language. Whereas hexadecimal, which implies as 16, so we cannot have like 11, 12, 13 like that. So we can use the numbers from 0 to 9 and we can use the alphabet from A to F for framing hexadecimal constants. Suppose if I want to declare a hexadecimal constant, I can give like this 28AC. I can differentiate that is a hexadecimal. I can prefix with 0x. So 0x prefix will say the compiler it is a hexadecimal number. And the next one is the floating point constants. So by this floating point constants, I can declare a decimal values like 3.5, 5.378. Right? And we can also declare a double constants, that is the precision is high. We can simply say like 3.5 exponential of 7. So those we can say as a floating point constants. Also these everything will consider as a numerical constants. Whereas the next one is a character constant. So whenever we want to make a character as a constant, we can include those characters in single quotation. So when you give a character in a single quotation, it implies that it's a character constant. Then what will be the difference between character and character constant? When you say a particular character, it can take simply the value of a character directly. Whereas you can put the character constant, that we can specify a character within a single quotation. It will take its equivalent ASCII value. That is the difference between character and character constant. And the next thing is string constants. So in C programming language, we can take a string constants. That is, we can write a collection of characters under a single group and we can call up as strings. And we want to make it as a constant, we can put in a double quotations. So the strings which we given in a double quotations, those are said to be a string constants. And the last one is a special character constants. So in C programming language, we have some special character constants like \n, \t, \v, and \r. So these are some special character constants. So which are used in C programming language for a specific purpose. Suppose if we are using a \n, the meaning of that character will say we want to new line or we want to return to a new line. If you are given a \t, it specifies that we want a horizontal space. So these are some special character constants which is used in C programming language. And next is strings in C programming. So we can simply say strings is nothing but it's an array of characters. And always strings ends with null character, which is a combination of / with 0. So the combination of this /0 is said to be a null character, which is used to terminate the string. And remember, in C programming language, always the strings are enclosed within a double quotations. Whereas the characters they can enclose in a single quotations. And we want to find out the length of a string or the size of a string. That is nothing but the number of characters which we are used to frame a string. Suppose if I am given tutorial, so we spell as tutorials, tutorials. So now if I ask the size of the string, now the compiler will return 9 because this string will consisting of 9 characters. And see here how the strings can be declared in C programming language. So we can use an arrays concept. This is a character array and this array name is A, which is capability to hold maximum of 10 characters. So here I am providing tech tutorials. So as a string I am given here. So when I am given like this, so it will take only the 10 characters from this because I am fixed my array size as 10. Thank you for your great time with me. So before I am closing this session, I will execute a small simple program, very basic program. Thank you so much for all. Please like, share and subscribe my channel Tech Tutorials 2K21. And you can find out more videos and you can find out different subjects in computer science department in this channel. So I will go with a small example. So I am using Dev C++. It is my IDE which I am using to execute all my C programs. So this is a simple program which is going to print hello, welcome to Tech Tutorials 2K21 live session day 1. So this is a simple program. So this is a Dev C++ IDE. So that is an integrated development environment. So I will show you how you are going to create a project to run your C programs in this editor. So here I will show you like go to files and go to new, select projects option. So see here it is provided with different options like you can implement Windows applications, console and static libraries and all your DLL files and empty projects. So choose console applications and default because of this is Dev C++, it is selected with C++ project. So you just go through C project and here you can provide your project name, that is of your file name. So here I am giving prog1, no need of giving any extension because I already specified here my program is of type C. So I just click on OK. So here it will save your project and now you can see this is prog1. So this is my new project. So you can observe that when you open this editor, it is available with default header files, that is stdio.h and stdlib.h, and this is of your main function. I already informed you. You must write one main function in C programming language because C compiler it starts execution from the main function only. It cannot recognize any other statement without the main function. So you just remove the arguments provided in main function. So now you start coding. So here I will give you a simple program for print a statement on output screen. For simply printing or writing some data on monitor, we can use a printf statement. So this is a function. In this function, we can provide a string which we want to display on your monitor within a double quotations. So simply here, suppose if I welcome to all participants to today's live session, whatever you want to display on screen, you just give in this printf function within a double quotation and close with semicolon. You can write any printf statements, any number of printf statements, so that everything is displayed on your screen. So whatever you given in double quotation, so it will think as constants, string constants. So see here, so like this. So I am including one more printf statement. So here I am given like 7:30 p.m. Whatever you can, right? You can write those statements in your printf statement that everything is going to be displayed on your screen. And now here we have an execute option. You just go here and compile and run this program. So it will create a .c file and now you can see your program is compiled and it is executed. So here is my console. You can observe here, welcome to all participants to today's live session, and I am giving 3/2/2022 in my printf statement and I am given time as 7:30 p.m. And you can observe that here all printf statements are given in a single line. If you want to change it, you can use a special character constants which we just mentioned in token section. So here I am going to give a \n. I want to see the second printf statement in the next line. And third printf statement in the next line. I am going to give here a \n in my second printf statement. Again I will run this program and now you can find out the difference. So here see, the first printf statement is given in first line and the second given in second line and third given in third line. So this is a simple C program. How to display some content on monitor. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you.